it's Doris with All The Books, and I thought I would go over my 2017 goals and plans and just let you know how those went. I've already posted my goals and plans for 2018, and I will link that below if you missed it. I'm really excited for 2018. I think I have found a system that is really going to work for me, but I'm happy with how 2017 went too. It was a little bit like bulleted list tediousness, and I wanted a little more freeform organic for 2018, but yeah, it was a good year for reading for me, definitely. So my first goal was 52 books, which I started reading, seriously, about 4 years ago. I mean, I'd always been a voracious reader, but when I had Gabriel, he is 14 now. When I had him, reading just was completely derailed for me. I mean, having a child is consuming, and caring for a child by yourself is really consuming. I remember, I may have told this story before, but I was in the middle of the Harry Potter series, actually in the middle of book 4, I think, when Gabriel was born, and I just never finished it. And then I don't even know what year book 7 came out, but when book 7 came out, I was just paranoid that someone was going to spoil the ending for me. So I totally power read books 4, 5, 6, and 7 in a 2-week period. Just but anyway, I'm just saying I didn't read a lot when Gabriel was a child. Just random things people gave me every once in a while, or whenever I got the urge, I'd read some romance novels, but that's about it. Until he hit double digits, and then I started reading again. So I set my goal at 52, and I achieved that for the first 2 years. I ended up having to, the last couple weeks of the year, kind of throw in some middle grade stuff to hit my goal, but I hit it. And then last year I joined BookTube, so that was the 3rd year of getting back into reading, and I started watching BookTube sometime summer or fall, and decided to join and make my own videos in December, and I ended up hitting 60 books last year, and then this past year I kind of blew that out of the water, but I'm gonna save that for my stats video for you, so you know, I'll get to it next time. Anyway, one of my goals, this one's going to totally make all of us laugh. It is to build my own library. Yeah, buy some of my old favorites and get into more adult literature, because I had been reading a lot of YA because I was getting it from the school libraries. I was teaching at 2 high schools, and you know, was in good with the librarians, so I think we all know that I've achieved that goal. Hit it out of the ballpark. I had collected books before, but not seriously. I collected Newbery Award winners for several years in my 20s and had an extensive collection, but had given that away, I think, to the middle school I was teaching at when I moved to Honduras. But other than that, I didn't ever have a very extensive book collection until this year, and OMG. Read an author. So I had decided to read Sandra Cisneros and Amy Tan, and I completed both of those goals. So Sandra Cisneros, I didn't have much to read because I didn't realize she didn't have a very extensive backlist. I finished these. I procrastinated, so I finished these the last couple weeks of December, and then I finished Amy at 10:30 on December 31st. But a finish is a finish, right? Collect certain I have little collections going. I'm a collector, I can't help it. So I have a little Bee Book collection and Alice in Wonderland collection. And since making these goals last January, I have a little cat collection and a little horse collection. Books, all these are books. So it's fun to me to categorize my books in different little sets. And I will be showing off those collections hopefully this year. I've been trying to read some of them, because some of them I've read and some are my TBR, and I want to read more before I share the collections, but I will start doing that soon. Then I wanted to, with Gabriel, my son, I wanted to read To Kill a Mockingbird, and we had been reading the Fifth Wave series, the trilogy by Rick Yancey, and then I threw in, well, maybe Animal Farm too. So I got To Kill a Mockingbird on audiobook, and we listened to it on the trip to Florida either this summer or in October. Same thing with the Yancey book. And then, you know, Animal Farm was just a maybe, but we did this too. So we did this on our last trip to Florida in December, and I'm so glad I decided to go ahead and do that. He loved this book. We had a couple of really interesting discussions about, he's really into history. He watches a lot of documentaries just on totally random things. It amazes me the topics he comes up with. But I mean, he was quite knowledgeable on Lenin and Stalin, and knew what was going on in the book, you know, the analogies that were being made. And, you know, we had interesting talks about that, and about communism, and about how it's not necessarily the governmental system, but the abuses of power. It was just really interesting, really interesting. So I'm glad I threw that in the mix. And as a side note, I read this with my kids at school last spring, and that, I don't know about girls because I've just had my son, and I had a group of boys last year that I was teaching, freshmen mostly, but they just ate it up, really. They just loved this book. So I think I don't think it matters if it's a girl or boy thing. I think it's more if you're interested in history or not. But anyway, To Kill a Mockingbird in Spanish was another goal. So I did finish this at 11:58 on December 31st. And I power skimmed the last 50 pages, but I was okay with that because I've read To Kill a Mockingbird so many times. This was fun. I read the first 100 pages last spring with a class. I had a boy in there that was very literary, and you know, was really good at translating things for me, and we'd chat about it. And then this spring I had another boy in my class, or this fall I mean to say, but so we read another 100 pages with him, and then the last 100 I had to read on my own, and that wasn't nearly as fun because I just stumbled across Spanish through the years just because I have an affinity for it, and I just always thought it was practical, and I've ended up living in different places where Spanish is spoken. But as far as pursuing it seriously, it's not really my thing. So while I enjoyed the community aspect of reading this, I did not really enjoy it on my own as much. But I'm glad I did it. Another goal was to finish my unread books. So this is another, you're gonna laugh at this one too. When I started 2016, I had 6 or 7 partially started books. And those were the only unread books that were in my house, 6 or 7. 2018 is starting with 241 unread books in my house. So a lot of you have graciously said, oh, don't worry about it. My TBR is so much bigger. And I have total respect for that. I'm fine with having 246 unread books in my house. I think I can handle it. But the only thing I'm slightly disturbed about is the exponential growth rate. Going from 6 one year to 241 the next. Like, I can't handle that exponential growth rate, because like in 4 years, can you do the math? I gotta get that in more balance. So, and I'm working on it. I've got great ideas. So it's a personal thing. I feel pressure by having, that's why I've read so much this year. Like, I've enjoyed it. Totally loved reading this year. That's one reason that I've read, is because it's been a blast and I like the community aspect of it. But I've also been reading voraciously to try to balance out the buying voraciously, because they just weigh me down if I think there's more than I can handle. So right now I think I can handle it, because I've been like reading like a beast to handle it. But I think I've got it figured out how to buy and read and keep it balanced. So check back in next year this time and see if that holds true, or if I was just blowing hot air. But I think I've got it figured out. Let's see. Community. I wanted to get more involved in the community, so I wanted to do at least one booktube challenge a month. Blew that out of the water. I absolutely love readathons. I just adore them. Yeah, I totally do. And I've done a few read-alongs, and those are fun too. But I'm just not as successful with those big plotting tomes. I tend to start out strong the first couple of days, and then I'm left 2 months after everybody else is finished trying to finish. And buddy reads have been fun too. So I love the booktube community. So fun. The in real life community, not so much. I did go to a couple book club meetings at the high school, so I feel like I accomplished the goal. I didn't find any other book clubs. I didn't look. And I did find the library book sales, and those were a blast. Yeah, so that's a good goal. I've accomplished all these goals so far. Local events. Oh, I just talked about that with the book clubs and the library book sales. And then the local events. Like, there was a big event in downtown Nashville, and I was like, if somebody had gone with me, I just don't like to go to downtown Nashville. It gives me the hives. So anyway, but I feel like overall I've accomplished all these goals. Now, let's get to the 2 that I nixed. So one of them was to keep up with some sort of reading journaling in my Hobonichi. This is a super cute little Japanese daily journal, if you've never seen one. Yeah, it's just daily pages. I kept up with that maybe January, and then yeah. And I did try to do a little bit in here, and that didn't even work. I just want to read, guys. I don't want to write about it. I just want to read. I just love it. So that goal I did not accomplish. And the other one is Goodreads. Let's talk about Goodreads, shall we? No. I joined Goodreads back in the day when everybody was joining Goodreads, however many years ago that was, and it has never taken for me. And, you know, I've had the goal of putting, you know, most of my back read books on Goodreads, and I was going to keep up with it this year, and I did not. I just don't feel like it. And part of me feels guilty that I don't rank books on Goodreads, because I use Goodreads for ranking. Whenever I want to buy a book that I'm not familiar with, I totally check the ranking on Goodreads, and if it doesn't have a 3.85 or higher, I'm not likely to buy it, unless, you know, someone's highly recommended it to me. But, you know, the ones that I'm not familiar with, I check Goodreads first. So I feel like I should, you know, rank books on Goodreads myself, but let's be honest. Does anybody want to hear, you know, my ranking? Because I'm not serious about it. I just go in, and I go in with the assumption that every book I pick up is a 4. That's how I look at it. Every book I pick up is a 4. Because like I said, if I was reading cutting edge books that are just hot off the press and taking a hit for the team that way, I would totally expect some of them to be garbage. But when I'm going in and I'm watching booktube videos of people whose opinions that I respect greatly, or I'm going on Goodreads and I'm only reading 3.85 or higher, I'm going in with the assumption that it's a 4. Now, if there's something profound about it, either intellectually or emotionally, it really hits me and makes me think, I bump it up to a 5. And if I read it and there's something wrong with it, and generally that would be the writing or something that just really ticks me off, it's a 3. So all these people that go, oh, it's a 3, but that's really good. I'm like, 3's not good in my book. If I find a 3 on Goodreads, I'm like, there's no way on God's green earth I'm gonna read that. Anyway, I'm just saying I'm not very diligent about rating books. It just isn't something that interests me. I just like to read them. But this guilt complex, I finally realized that it's silly. Like, I make videos, that's my contribution. I'm enjoying making the videos and sharing them, and without any expectations whatsoever. And I don't judge people who watch my videos without commenting or without making videos themselves. I mean, why would I do that? So I'm letting myself off the hook about Goodreads is what I'm saying. I really can only handle 2 social media outlets at one time. So right now, that is YouTube and Twitter. I have totally dropped Instagram. I was a voracious Instagram user for a couple years, and I'm just not interested anymore because I can't handle more than a couple, you know, social media outlets. I was a mega blogger. Like, I went a year with 365 posts, and I accomplished that goal because, you know, I accomplish goals. But I don't blog. I dropped the blog like a hot potato 2 or 3 years ago. So what I'm saying is, you know, Goodreads, I can't even go over there. I've tried to use it a couple times for book club groups, and I don't even like it for that. Not that I have anything against Goodreads. It's just not where my focus is right now. I'm Twitter and YouTube. So I'm letting it go. No guilt. Guilt-free Goodreads for me. Anyway. Wow, this is a long video. Thanks for watching, and I'll chat with you soon. Bye.